This is the After Sessions, and I'm here with Erika. Hello.
Hey.
How you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Good.
Yeah.
And thanks so much for coming down.
Absolutely welcome.
I feel like we've got a chat full of lots of surprises, so I'm really excited of what's gonna come up. But first of all, you've recently spent some time in Japan.
Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, my mother is from Japan.
Oh, amazing.
So I try and go every 18 months if I can,
Nice.
just to kind of keep going with my Japanese,
Yes.
eat lots of really good food.
Do you tend to do music stuff out there as well? Or?
Little bits and pieces, not much though. It really is a place for me just to reset and just get inspiration. And yeah, it really is a reset button for me.
What's the Japanese music industry like?
Well, I don't really know. I'm not hooked in, but I have been to kind of a few gigs at open mics, and it's always really eclectic. Always really interesting. Loads of different stuff, loads of different genres, and yeah, it's really interesting. It's fun, a lot of fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll test your Japanese later.
Oh God.
But really important, you've got an EP coming up.
Yes, I do.
And it's the third of 3.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's the third.
Yeah.
And you've been calling it a trilogy in the journey. Talk to us about why it's 3 consecutive ones and what made you want to do that.
I just think, 3 is my lucky number. I love the number 3. And
has that always been a thing?
Yeah, always.
Wow.
And I think when I first started with Onna Bugeisha, it was just a one-off EP. And when I finished it, I was like, I'd actually quite like to have a sequence of that. So I didn't think about it beforehand. It kind of just appeared as I started doing it, really. And once I'd recorded the first EP, and it kind of made me think, well, how can I break these words down, and what can I take from each of the words as well? So Onna Bugeisha, which was the first EP, means female samurai.
What language is that?
In Japanese.
Okay, cool.
And so I wanted it to be a kind of a celebration about... I don't know, I suppose female solidarity, but also in the sense of women forging their way on their own and making their own paths. And it came from me being in lots of bands and me doing my first proper solo project as well.
Is that scary?
Yes, really scary.
So is this the first proper solo project? Or have there been others?
No, this is the first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been quite a jump.
Yeah, it was. And I love playing in bands. I've played in metal bands, rock bands. So to suddenly go in a completely different direction, really, first EP was really poppy, actually. In fact, I think because I've been working with an artist called Mika for a while, that really kind of forged that sound, maybe.
Yeah.
Coming from a heavier background.
What was it that kind of made you want to jump out the band and go, right, I'm doing my own thing now?
It wasn't really that I wanted to jump out the band as such. It's more that I kind of found myself there. I wish I was like,
I don't mean literally. I mean, a case of just kind of diverting.
Yeah, I think one of the hardest things is keeping bands going.
Yeah.
You know, everyone suddenly, I found the guy that I'd been writing with for years and years and years, he became a session musician, and he started doing big tours, and that became more important. And I kind of found that our almost musical relationship broke, and it was really hard, but I knew I wanted to keep going, so I ended up going on my own.
Yeah.
So it was more for stubbornness than anything else. Yeah.
Goes back to what we were saying off air about how we all have the same amount of time in the day as Beyonce, so it's okay.
Yeah.
We can all do whatever we want. So sorry, back to the EP. We got a bit distracted. So the first EP, and then you had the second EP, which was released when?
Yeah, second EP was a few years later, called Onna.
Nice.
2017, I think it was January 2017. Yeah. And that means woman. And I wrote that really for all the women in my life that have never shouted or never really seemed to have been strong, in the sense that a lot of kind of society deems strong women to be like.
Okay.
So, for example, my mum, she's incredible. She's one of the strongest women I know. She works a 9-to-5 job in the city, come back, would cook us dinner, not for any glory, just to keep the family going and keep us a unit. And, she never wanted a pat on the back or nothing, nothing shouting about, yet she just did it. And I think there are a lot of women around like that, that just kind of one foot in front of the other and just get on with it. And
just crack on.
Yeah, totally. So I kind of, I wanted it to be for for the feminists in my life that weren't shouting about being feminists. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the third one?
And the third one is called Bugeisha, which means the art of war.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can see the Onna Bugeisha is the broke up of woman and war, and so Bugeisha is the art of war, and that this EP really was about finding beauty in discomfort, or finding beauty in pain or ugliness.
Okay.
So out of something that on the outside could be dark, actually can be really beautiful. Yeah.
So most people, they start by doing their own thing and they release one EP, but you go and release 3 pretty much like consecutively. So it wasn't always the plan, it was just because you had more to give, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose so. I think it just, I kind of fell into it and found myself here and I'm not one of these writers that's like constantly writing, but I seem to write in groups.
Yeah.
So it kind of naturally formed. There's not much thought process. It just kind of happened. And I think I'm just one of these people that once I have some songs or almost like a message within a group, like I've written a bunch of other songs that just didn't make it. And actually I'm thinking of doing another concept EP later on, maybe at the end of this year or next year, about some other stuff. So I think it's just, it just kind of forms without any much thought process. That sounds really bad.
No, not at all. Do you think there's anything in particular that gives you that inspiration?
I think observing people and myself.
Okay.
A lot of my writing is very much mirror stuff, looking at my own stuff and having to work through a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
And also observing as well, talking to friends and other friends and hearing stories, and it's very observational.
Almost reflective.
Yeah, totally. A lot of my songs are really personal, and I think that if I can write about something that I'm going through or someone close is going through, then it's not an isolated thing. We're all human. We tend to have the same needs and problems and in various degrees. And I think if I can connect on a level with my own stuff, then hopefully that will in turn help someone else as well. She's nearly 7 stone today. Can't you tell the extra weight? Nothing's wrong, she's in control. She knows everything's alright. He had a drink today. It's okay, it's past midday. Nothing's wrong, comfortably numb. He knows everything's alright. And then they weep and crumble to the floor into deep, and everybody walks on eggshells, taking on all their pain. She knows that they'll never change. Nothing's wrong, she can be strong, 'cause she has to be alright. But then she weeps and crumbles to the floor a little deep, and everybody walks on eggshells. Just have to speak. A problem shared is a problem halved. A little win, then nobody has to walk on eggshells. I see you, I want to see you every time I see you, I want to see you every time I see you, I want to see you every time I see you, I want to see you every time I see you. I want to see you every time I see you. I want to see you every time I see you. I want to see you every time I see you. And then they weep and crumble to the floor and into deep, and everybody walks on eggshells. Just have to speak. A problem shared is a problem half. A little wind, then nobody has to walk on eggshells. Just have to speak. A problem shared is a problem half. A little wind, then nobody has to walk on eggshells. 'Cause every time I see you, I want to see you. Every time I see you, I want to see you. Every time I see you, I want to see you. Every time I see you, I want to see you.
The Alpha Sessions.
Let's rewind a little bit. You've also played with, like you mentioned before, Skunk and Nancy.
Yeah.
Which is mega.
Yeah.
Like really
amazing.
mega. How long have you been playing with them for?
So I was kindly invited on their acoustic tour back in, when was that? 17, I think it was. 17 as well, yeah. Yeah, it was 2017, just released their EP. So 2017 acoustic album came out, and they did a whole acoustic tour. And then I was invited to they've always played just the four of them at their full-on big live rock gigs.
That's mad, isn't it? Like massive stadiums, and there's just four of them.
Yeah, making huge sounds. And yeah, so they said, my vocals luckily go really well with Skins, and so we just ended up working, and I ended up doing a bit of keys and some synth and string parts and doing vocals as well.
That must have been a bit
great.
surreal at the start.
Yeah. I mean, they're such an amazing band. They're such a force, and they've just had an album released as well this week, a live album of all their amazing songs from the years. So. Yeah, it's great. A real privilege to get to travel the world with them.
Yeah, and you've also done some stuff with Mika as well.
Yeah.
Were you singing as part of that band, or?
Yeah, so I was his backup singer for about 3 years. Which was super fun because I got to travel around the world like 1.5 times.
Yeah.
Oh, it was
Most
so
people
good.
don't get to do that once, let alone 1.5 times.
Wow, it was really just the most amazing time, just to be able to travel and see loads of different cultures and play music, basically, and meet loads of different people.
Do you think both of those experiences were big influences in how your EPs came about and how the writing process was for that?
Not so much the writing process, but I think definitely the performing process. So, for example, touring with Mika, watching the way he performed and created a lot of theatrics with his show has really informed the way I produce and create my shows as well.
So cool.
Yeah, but then also watching Skunk as well. So they are such an incredible band to get everyone involved, and that has also really helped with the energy and the power behind all of them. So yeah, I mean, you can't help it. You can't help but be influenced by other people, Yeah,
absolutely.
Definitely.
And has it kind of given you kind of an idea of, if you were to do a world tour, like how you would want it?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you got this big
big
theatrical picture in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, my dream is to just tour theatres and just take, nothing big, just like 200 seaters, little theatre stages with beautiful projections and things moving in and moving out, loads of interaction and interactivity. So cool. Yeah.
Well, can't wait to see some of that worldwide. That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Come on.
We can do this. Let's also talk about your pledge campaign.
Yes.
Which is still ongoing, if I'm not mistaken.
It's actually finished.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still open.
So if people still wanted to pledge, then they still can.
Okay. Absolutely, yeah.
So how does that work?
So because I've got a creative head, I basically need a deadline.
Okay.
So I'm kind of like, well, I need to put an EP out. Let's give myself a deadline. Let's go with a crowdfunder.
Okay.
And then there is my deadline. So they're kind of like my parents or my teacher to say, this is when the assignment needs to be in.
That's fair. I think we all need a little bit of that.
Yeah, I just need to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And this is my third crowdfunding campaign with Pledge Music, and they've had a bit of bad rap recently, but I've worked really well with them, and it's been a little tough trying to get the finances this last few months, but they've come good, and so it's all good, basically.
So for people that aren't familiar with how it works, explain briefly what the process is in terms of a crowdfunder or a pledge campaign.
Okay, so with a crowdfunder, generally what happens is, and this isn't with all of them, but I'm only going from the one I know, is you put a bunch of exclusives up. So you could be like afternoon tea with Erika, or making your own analog synth, or buying the CD, buying vinyl, buying a bundle of t-shirts. So you're pre-ordering a product.
Okay.
And they put the money and say, okay, I'd like to pre-order a CD and a vinyl and maybe an afternoon tea. And then once you get to 100%, so that my campaign was 3 months, and once we got to 100% after 3 months, then they release a certain amount of money. And then so the artist can get on and create the music or make the vinyl or make the CD for that money as well.
Okay.
And then once all the exclusives are fulfilled,
Yeah.
then the artist gets the rest of the money to maybe make a video. So for me, it was to create the record, and then to make a video.
I have to say, my favourite bit is how creative artists get with like the stuff that they're gonna pre-order, if you like. So like the afternoon tea or the analog synth or whatever. Just like it's so great to have to see that creative head.
Yeah, it's really
Have a
one
good
of my favourites is after like at home gigs as well.
So good.
So you can people can pay for us to come and play at their houses, and it's cool.
Really cool. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier on about venues that you've played and world tours, but in terms of an absolute favourite, this is quite a hard question. Is there a place that you've played that you think, oh my gosh, this is like the ultimate?
Oh, that is really hard.
We can come back to it if you prefer.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few I can think of that have been really special, but the problem is I can't remember their names. I played at in Paris, there's a beautiful venue called Cirque d'Hiver,
Okay.
which is in the Round, and that's really beautiful. It's like a circus, basically, and that's really pretty. And in Amsterdam as well, there's this beautiful theatre that goes all the way to the ceilings, and
Wow.
the seats go, it's so impressive.
Hang on, the seats go all the way
The
to the
seats go,
ceilings?
pretty, it's so high, you just kind of peer up and it just
Whoa.
keeps going and going. It's amazing.
That is cool.
Yeah, but I really like quirky theatres or beautiful buildings. I think well, I was really lucky to play a cave for my own music. I do house gigs and basically say to people, right, where do you want me to come? And there was a woman in France called Gretchen who said, my husband works for a vineyard, come and play in the caves under the vineyard. And it was so magical.
What are the acoustics like down there?
Yeah, I mean, basically the caves were singing with us.
That's
we
mad.
would be playing and you could hear the sound coming, and it was really like there was another member in the band, because
So good.
everyone was just like, it was really magical.
You've got your own backup vocals.
Yeah, it was cool.
And when you're listening to your own personal music, what kind of music are you into?
Wow, everything.
I had a feeling you'd say
Yeah,
that.
I mean, from like Deftones to John Cage to Mozart to I mean, really, it's so broad, like really broad. We were listening to Disney earlier, like Disney. I mean, it's really everything.
Okay.
Yeah, anything that's interesting rhythmically, I really like. So if there's something rhythmically going on that is interesting, something I can sing along to, or something that just makes me feel something, whatever that is. Mind out equals the storm. pressing the sun. Girls lost in masculine woods, twisted, twirled and pushed. Heads turn. Clean designs of office scent. Which stage of life presents this time? Dots, hold on. Reaching, talking on. Real pixels of everyday life. Too small to be seen. Too small to be seen. Dots, connecting these dots. Dots, connecting, reaching, lost dots. We live on a pale blue dot. Men lost in feminine words, sucked, kicked, punched. Lost boys. Dots, hold on. Reaching, talking on. Real pixels of everyday life. Too small to be seen. Too small to be seen. It's dots, connecting these dots. Dots, connecting.
The Alpha Sessions.
So let's go back to this analog synth that we've touched upon briefly earlier on. And before we started the chat, we had a little bit of a play with it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, it's totally different to anything that I've ever seen before. For the people that aren't watching and are just listening, can you describe how it works and what it is?
Sure. It's a little circuit board. And coming from the circuit board, left and right, is some conductive thread.
Okay.
Then the circuit board is also plugged into a 9-volt battery. So then, and it's got an oscillator in it, so like a synth oscillator.
Yeah.
So with the conductive thread, it runs down, I suppose, rope. It's shipping rope that's been turned into a jacket for me. And what happens is if I hold both ends of the rope where the conductive thread is, it creates a sound because I complete the circuit.
So good.
So essentially a little current is running. So my body acts as a resistor. Yeah, so I complete the circuit and then it creates a sound.
So good.
Yeah, it's really fun. So the great thing with that is I love connecting with people, and one of my favourite things in a show is actually to get people to hold on to it and then the whole audience to hold hands, and then we create this like crazy like
It sounds a bit like, and this is going to sound a bit weird, but it sounds a bit like someone's revving an engine, but to a tune. That's the way I see it anyway.
Totally. And it depends as well, like if you're really hot,
yeah,
if everyone's body heat is really warm,
yeah,
then it gets higher. Yeah,
that's
or if you're
interesting.
cold, it's not, it doesn't work as well. Yeah, it's really interesting. So it depends on who's in the crowd. In fact, we did a gig in France and someone wasn't wearing any shoes.
Yeah.
And the sound stopped.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
because
bizarre. You'd never think that, would you?
Yeah, because it was grounded. The electricity was grounded. So
Yeah.
the circuit couldn't complete.
I feel like we should experiment a little bit for the recording.
Yeah, sure.
Is that all right?
You want to give it a go?
Let's give it a go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's plugged into a little amp.
Okay.
I just need to plug the 9-volt battery.
And was this totally your idea?
No, so this is actually open source. So I work with an amazing sound artist in Leicester,
Okay, cool.
called Sam Topley, and
Okay.
we created she created this huge pom-pom for me first, and that's how we met. And then we started to create and do workshops together with these analog synths. So they're tiny little circuit boards. And we take them to workshops. We do festivals. We go to people's houses, parties, or even just kind of community centres as well.
Yeah.
And everyone creates their own. We call them snog boards because we want to encourage more women in technology and for men to craft as well.
Yeah.
So we call it sound no gender snog boards.
Good.
Yeah. So I'll put it on back to front.
Okay.
It's a bit weird, but we'll go with this. It's fine. So if you take one end,
Yep.
and then I'm just going to check that it's on. Is the speaker on? Yes, it's on. There we go.
Cool.
And then if we just hold hands,
So strange.
and then we take it. Yeah. So.
I could do this all day.
And then you can actually play my hand like a piano. So if you do one finger then at a time. Oh, I think it's because your hands are really cold.
Sorry.
No, don't apologise. I feel sorry. Yeah, look, my warm hand. So if I go. But I mean, it's
So
open
good.
source. I mean, anyone can go online
Yeah.
and basically find. You want to have a play with both of them? It feels weird. I feel like I'm being milked.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's fun. And
Yeah.
so basically you can, we do workshops where people can make their own and
That is really cool.
and I just thought I'd love to incorporate this in my show
Yeah.
to actually show that you can actually play it as an instrument
So
as well.
what's the most amount of people you've had involved in this at a gig?
I think we've had about 80 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, and the current gets less strong, but it's
Yeah.
still there. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, it's good fun. It's really good fun.
And this pom-pom that you keep mentioning, what's that about?
Yeah, so Sam, she does, she's at De Montfort
Okay.
studying, I think it's music tech.
Yeah.
I'm not sure entirely the module. But she's actually done a PhD there now as well. And one of her projects was a giant pom-pom, literally about, I don't know, how big is that? Half a metre?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spanning about half metre, and then inside it is a Wiimote.
What's a Wiimote?
Is it like a game? You know, the games console that you
Oh,
play
like
like
a
tennis and
Wiimote.
stuff.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so she basically hacked it,
Okay.
and then through coding has coded all samples on it. So depending on what axes the Wiimote turns,
So
different
good.
sounds are triggered. Yeah. So that I use that in one of my songs, and I throw that out to the audience, and then everyone essentially plays an instrument with us.
So good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we
it's
want it
such
to
a nice
be-
idea.
Yeah, I want it to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, final question
Okay.
before we go. You've played with some obviously quite big artists, so I'm sure you've seen a lot of the rider thing happening.
Oh yeah.
But if you could play in any of your quirky venues that you were talking about, and there was a dream rider, you can go as crazy as you like with this. What would it be, and why?
Oh, what would my dream rider be? Oh wow. I don't know. What would it be? I'm trying to think like what my favourite drinks are. I love a good ginger beer,
Okay.
really strong ginger beer.
Yep.
That sounds so lame, doesn't it? I'm like, oh, ginger beer. I bet everyone's like, the finest wines.
You'd be surprised at what we've had in the past.
And I love crisps.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Percy Pigs,
All right.
the vegetarian ones.
Yep.
And then maybe like sushi,
Okay. although
it could be risky,
Why?
depending on where you are in the world.
Hey, fair enough.
Yeah, it could be like fish roulette. Although I have to say, actually, no, that's what I'd like. It has to be local food.
Okay.
Wherever I go, it must be local food and something really interesting and different
Cool.
has to be on there as well.
Ooh,
Yeah.
This could get interesting.
Yeah, because I love trying food, even if it sounds really weird. So I'm the one that's like, yeah, I'll eat that. I'll die first.
That sounds really morbid, don't you? But if we want to find out more about you, where can we go? What can we do?
So probably the easiest place to find me from all my socials
Yeah.
is to go to my website, which is officially Erika. That's Erika with a K, ERIKA.co.uk.
Cool.
All the
and
Ks.
all your socials and all your recordings and everything else are all on there.
They're all on there. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for coming in and letting us have a demo with your analog synth.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me. I love the city, and you love the sea. I wanna be near people, your isolated dream. What life are we living? Whose dreams did we steal? I wanna dance with the world, just me and my big dreams. Could I imagine just me in the sky? Right here I'm just catching rain. 'Cause home is where the heart is. A building of bricks can't stop the storm. 'Cause home is where the heart is. So come place your lips close to my own. You want to dive in, and I'll dip my toe. I know I need to try, or I'll never know. Sink into discomfort, pull myself out. I know that you're ready, but all I need is time. Could I imagine just me in the sky? Right here I'm just catching rain. 'Cause home